Welcome back, everyone. Tonight I'm going to go through a story that from an article by a friend of mine. He used to come to all the card shows that I was at back in the day, back in the 90s, maybe even the early 2000s. But if you look what's in his hand, it's a 1933 Goudey Napoleon Lajoie. That's a very difficult card to get. And Fred, who would show up at my table, maybe dealing some, picking up some Canadian Post cereal or some 62 Jello cards. And he'd always talk about getting this card and difficulties in getting it when he was a youth. So this is from 1978. He does have this same pose in the Sports Collector's Digest collector's card set. I also have that one. We'll go through his little story about how he acquired the 1933 Goudey Napoleon Lajoie card. The title of his article is Collecting in the 1930s. You can see another picture of the card. Collecting in the 1930s to present time. There's an article by each person in here from a different decade. So in the 1930s, Fred talks about kids in his neighborhood. Patty Berg, one of the 13 founding members of the LPGA. Bud Wilkinson, if you never heard of him, check the all-time college football record for consecutive wins. He was the coach of that Oklahoma team from 1953 through 1957 that had the longest consecutive win streak in college football. But they weren't card collectors, he said. In 1933, Goudey cards. First gum issue came his way. And he mentioned some of his friends that collected with him. First cards he saw that spring at the drugstore were baseball. That was after having the Indian Gum and Warbirds cards earlier in the year. Most of them used them for some kind of a dice game. Never did ask him what that dice game was like. But he decided to put a set together. By October 1st, he had 239 of the 240 cards. He's missing number 106. So he rode his bike over to South Minneapolis looking for the card, and no one had it. Finally, in the spring of '34, he wrote the company several times about missing the card. He said he'd about given up when a letter arrived. And that had card 106 in it. And if you look at it, card doesn't match what the rest of the set looks like. So he was lucky to get it. He collected 1933 to 1939. And then he resumed about 1975. So that's basically it. You had to write the company and bug the company. Actually, he wrote the company several times, and he finally got his card to finish his Goudey set. And I'm not sure where the set is today, but it was one of Fred's pride and joys, and I really enjoyed getting to know him. Great man, great collector. So just thought I'd share that little story with y'all, and hope you have a great Thanksgiving.